Thank you so much once again for joining me on Business Insights with Irene. Now, as you know, the whole essence of Business Insights is to raise the next generation of successful African entrepreneurs who would, of course, start to travel, just as icons like you have done. And I mean, the conversation for today would rally around entrepreneurship and risk management. I think it's a good thing to start with. Is everybody really supposed to be an entrepreneur, or entrepreneurship as well?
Let's put it this way. Who is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is simply an individual who decided to take a financial risk. That's, if you want to put it in a very short way. One who establish business and take financial risk with hope of making profit. That's the
Who are
person.
entrepreneurs?
That's who an entrepreneur is. So, and what is a risk? A risk is just risk is finding a way to deploy the resources you have, managing it against risk, because there is a clear chance that you are going to make money, and there's a clear chance that you can as well
Lose.
lose all, not only part, but all of the money. So this is why risk management is a prerequisite for a successful entrepreneur. And how do you really manage risk? There are different type of risk. You manage risk by setting certain strategies that will help you to mitigate. Sometimes people describe managing or avoiding risk. I don't want to like to use that language of
Terminology.
avoiding. You manage risk, but
Can you
you
really
know,
avoid
yes,
risk as
because
a
if you
business
want to
person?
avoid it, you cannot be in business. So you just need to find a way to manage risk, identify the risk, mitigate against it, find things you need to do. So the first thing is to study historically what has been the trend of that business, so you can be able to say, oh, at this point in time, this is what you expect, this is what you are not expecting, so this is what you need to do to counter it. These are the measure you need to put in place to be able to balance it and let it all work well. So that's what an entrepreneur is, and that's what risk management for me in a nutshell is all about. Of course, there are I can
So can you mention the different types of risks that we have? I mean, the standard ones, no matter what kind of business, because I reckon that depending on the kind of business you run, there are certain risks that
that is
you
correct.
have to,
That is
get involved in.
That is correct. There are different kind of risk, okay? But the first thing you need to do is to identify the risk, okay? So the step number one is identification, okay? Subject to the kind of business you do. Take for instance, if you are starting in elementary form, okay, you are just a small guy starting a business, your first risk is risk of managing cash, okay? Because cash
Cash is
cash is like an evil spirit,
depletable in
wherever
nature.
it is, there are different people who want to grab it. Okay, so can you afford collecting cash from people? What do you do with that cash when the day closes? When you know, if somebody knew you carry cash in your car, you stand the risk of them breaking your car or even putting a gun in your head. Initially, even myself, when
You
we
just
are not
started.
at the level where we are today, we've had a situation where people knew a lot of cash come to our office, and someday two guys came wearing agbada, sat down like they were one of the customers, waiting to be attended to. Okay, and when they notice the person going to bank, they have carried cash, loaded it in a car, they drove out, getting on top of a bridge. They double closed the car and pointed the AK-47 and made away with the cartons. We have also suffered a risk of we sent two people to bank, a driver and a cashier, and after 3 hours or 4, we didn't see them. After 4 hours or 5, the cashier came back and was screaming and said, "Did you see the driver? Did you see the driver? Oh, what's the problem? What are you talking about? Did you see the driver?" Oh, he stopped and he told the driver to wait. He went to post office to post a letter, and by the time he came back, he didn't see the driver. As he was talking, within 30 minutes, the driver came back and said, "Did you see the cashier? Did you see the cashier?" He went to the bank and asked me to wait outside. I've been waiting for 3 hours. I didn't see him, so I started to come back. These stories were being told between the two people. The reality is that we've lost cash and we didn't find the money anymore till today. Only two of them knew
what really happened.
So you have the risk of, so you need to identify what are the risks that relate to your industry, because there is no one that didn't have risk, but the level of the risk are not the same with every one of them. So you don't do risk analysis, you analyze those risks, because you can't fix a problem you do not understand.
Yes.
So after you analyze those risks, you evaluate them and rank them. Okay? You rank the risk by, if we do it like this is because let me put it this way. You can decide you are not going to take cash from customers. It's also risky for you. If the people in your industry are collecting cash and it is more convenient for people to collect cash, you're bound to lose some customers. There are also not everybody that have a PSO or POS to be able to make those. So you rank them and begin to say, if we decide we will not take cash, how many percentage of customer do we going to be losing as against collecting cash and start managing what happened to the cash, how to carry it to bank, tempting our staff. If we leave it in the store to go home, we're also running a risk of our store being broken even. And then if we don't have a fireproof safe, if fire comes up, we are running a risk of losing the merchandise and losing the cash. So you analyze them. So after that, you started treating them and you start elimination. Then after that, the 15 now, you monitor the risk, because risk is inherent. You are going to run that business with the risk. So the particular risk you take, you start monitoring it to see how well are you doing with it. There's nothing static. You can come back to change them subject to how you see and perceive the risk. So different business have different level of risk. There are businesses you do that you also suffer reputational risk. So you don't want to get certain politicians in your board, because some people may not buy from you because that person is in your board. There are certain person who is too vocal, an activist, you don't want in your. There are different. You need to talk about reputational risk, financial risk, entrepreneurship risk, and franchise risk. Different risk. They are numerous. So as your business grow,
the risk become higher.
It's not only that, you have to employ a risk manager, somebody who has studied risk, and all you need to do is to take your business, tear down in different areas and identify all the risk that is there, and then begin to give you an idea what you need to do. So that's why in risk management, okay, you also have strategies on risk. Okay, because it's only when you have been able to clearly identify all the risk that are involved in your business. Different business have different risk associated with it. If you are in Bureau de exchange, your risk is completely different with somebody who is, because you are purely cash managing person. If you are in a bank, you have risk with your employees. And this is when you identify this risk, that's when you begin to say there are some of the risks you can insure against. You can have employment insurance risk. If you are in farming, you can take flood risk, because it's not just your crop growing, so you can know that flood can come against your distance. So there are different risks. So a risk manager begin to let you know, we can't trivialize this, we can't look away from this, and this has to be taken care of. So that's the way I understood it.
And these are basic things that, so individuals, whoever, whatever industry you are, you need to understand what risks are involved in that your sector,
That is correct.
which are independent of your sector.
That's correct.
Right.
And then you start mitigating them, to mitigate, to like put things in balance that can help you continue
Cushion
to
the
trade
risk, yeah.
without that inhibiting you or really canceling your business.
So did the risk really get like a lot more as you rise as an
The
organization?
more you expand, the more the risk increase. So the higher you grow your business, the more you expose yourself to risk. Okay. There is also credit risk. If you are going to be giving credit to your customer, it's exposure. You are taking financial risk on them. Okay. So either you also get insurance against that credit you are giving to the person, or you find some other way to say, okay, I'm willing to take this risk from you. Like I tell you, some of the customers, I said, okay, I'm ready to take the risk from you, but the risk I think that I am so exposed to in your business is debt, risk of debt. Okay, I don't want to deal with you purely as a one-man organization. I have confidence your business can pay back my money, but what happened in your absence if you are no more there? Can I truly talk to your brothers or family members that you are owing me and for them to pay? Okay, I want your wife to be part of signatory to your account. So she's a business partner. Two of you will not die one day. So even in your absence, we can hold her responsible. But the person said, no, I don't want my wife to have anything to do with me. I said, okay, you have to get somebody who have to issue a check, a processed check against all your purchases, so we can hold it. It doesn't matter, even if you are giving us 6 months check at every given time, you keep on redeeming them. We are ready to take risk for you. But if we don't see you, we put the check in. If it bounce, that person has to pay us. So you mitigate different risks as you identify them. It comes in various form and shape depending on what kind of business that you are involved in, which include fire. There are very risks that people are concerned about. Mostly important in the business is fire. So they want to get a comprehensive insurance, burglary risk. But those are like very pronounced risk. But there are many hidden risks that you have that involve.
Was there a certain risk? Was there a certain risk during the course of your business that you probably did not even know, say during the early stage of your business, you didn't even realize that this would have been a risk until it actually happened?
Sure. We have had a situation where we hire somebody to come and work in our company. Is to do a plastering job. It was just an ordinary mason that supposed to plaster the security door house in one of our branch in Port Harcourt. Actually, it was not even in Lagos here. And he climbed the roof and got electrocuted. and the family take a lawsuit of 150 million naira against us. That they want to do. And they went to court. First, it was the police was called upon to see what happened. Initially, they agreed that we just help them with the burial. His senior brother came, that's what they need. They saw what happened and all of that, sworn an affidavit and all of that, and that we should help them with 500,000 they do or whatever. So many years ago, we gave them, and they enter into a memorandum of understanding. So later, we got a lawsuit and went back. It was all the matter. The day of the court, the wife will come in a small rag with carry 3 children, and bring her grandmother coming with walking stick. So the judge was looking at that and purely based on sentiment, and awarded 6 million naira to them. But we decided to challenge it because we could give the woman 6 million naira if she plead with it. But sometimes you fight certain matter on principle. And we appealed the matter and went to Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal dismissed the matter and said we should go back to the lower court. But we are taking another appeal to Supreme Court, where we are going to fight that matter, because you cannot allow bad precedent to set up. We never asked him to work. We didn't hire him as an electrician. We never asked him to work on the electric wire. He was not an electrician. He was a mason. The gatehouse where you are asked to plaster. Anyway, the most important thing is not the story about this. You need to have also vendors insurance. Okay, because if we have an insurance, it is going to be the business of insurance company to take care of that. It's insurance company that will settle with them. If there are court, they will be going and all of that. So there are many risks. So some of these things you discover them
as
while
time
you
goes
are
on
in the business. Okay, but you can take insurance against your staffs and all of that. What the insurance that quickly burst into mind is vehicle insurance, all of those things. But there are so many hidden risks that are involved in a business that you need to take care of, and only a risk manager that can easily identify those risks that are inherent. Otherwise, you can get a shock when you get to certain situation with it.
We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.